There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true. Yo, everyone. The pod is here. The Yonkō Table is ready. It is set. And we're here to have a deep dive discussion over Spider-Man ranking. What does that mean exactly? We're going to be ranking the Spider-Man films all the way leading up to the anticipation of Spider-Man No Way Home in theaters. December 14th?
17th.
17th. It's next week. It's next week. We're all excited about it. So what better way to celebrate No Way Home than ranking all of the previous Spider-Man films? We're going to get into it, and there's going to be heated discussion about each and every one of these films. I already know it, but to break the ice with me as well is fellow Yonkō GrandMasterHoop. Grandmaster, I see your background. You know it's pizza time. I know you're ready.
Pizza time, baby. It's pizza time. I ain't paying for those, though. Yes, I'm here. I'm ready. Shout out to Emily Deschanel, the better Deschanel sister. Pizza time. Let's go. Spider-Man 2, baby. Give it to me. Number 1. That's what I'm here for. That's what I stand by. I'll argue to the death of me. Put up your dukes. Let's do this.
All right. I guess we're going to find out soon enough. Next up, we got Supernova Rose, the crafter. Rose, I already see your background. I already know what's your favorite.
Listen, I'm out of the web of shadows today. I'm on the edge of time, and I'm jumping into the cinematic universe.
Let's go.
Very good. Very good.
I like it. Next up, NinoDesplazado. Nino, I see is that the Japanese Spider-Man?
I thought we were ranking the Spider-Man TV shows. This is the classic Spider-Man. So I guess I got the wrong memo.
That could be its own tier list. We could actually do a Spider-Man TV show.
We sure could.
At some point.
And what about games?
We could.
There's plenty of Spider-Man games that deserve some love and attention. Not Web of Shadows on the Wii.
Enough.
Next up, Darce. Darce, iconic moment I see in your background. How's it been, man?
It's been good. I haven't been on the podcast in forever, but I'm glad to be back.
That's what's up. Next up, DoctahReeka. DoctahReeka, you have the best Spider-Man film behind you. I already know, but how's it been?
It's been good. It's also been a while for me, so I'm happy to be back and talk about the best Spider-Man film.
It is the best, but that's just my opinion. We'll have to wait and see. Next up, TevintheFifth. Tevin, how you been, man?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm mad. I didn't realize we were all picking backgrounds, but I accept it because I'm pretty neutral. So.
Go pick one. No, just go pick one.
No, I'm pretty neutral.
He said he's neutral.
You could be like Kenneth and just do Spider-Man.
Happy to be here. Good morning. I'm gonna find one. I'll find one.
All right. Next up, we got DrMondo. DrMondo, you're here on the time you said you were gonna be here. It's so exciting to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Jace. It's great that someone knows what time, how to read time here. Now, so I'm a neutral as well, so I don't have a background, but I might choose one later. But yeah, I'm pretty neutral, but excited to be here and talk about Spidey. So,
as we all are, we're excited. And last but not least, Supernova Toasty. Toasty, I question that Spider-Man outfit in the background because I know which suit that is. I question your credibility on this, but how's it been, man?
I'm doing good. First of all, it's a mistake. I had another background, but for some reason it's not working, so I had to go with the second best. But excited to talk about the Spider-Man movies.
All right. We're gonna be diving deep right now into these films. Just to lay out some ground rules on how we structured this list. It's kind of similar to our MCU ranking list where we took the average of everyone present at the Yonkō table, what they believed was the best and worst of the Spider-Man films. And now we're going to present to you the average of what the Yonkō Table voted for these Spider-Man films. Also, we're doing it in a little bit of a different way, where we are ranking these films compared to tiering them out, like the way we did the MCU one. So instead of seeing S tier, B tier, A tier, stuff like that, there's only one and done on these. One film is the worst, and one film is the best, and one cannot be in the same league as the other. So I feel like that's going to spark the most discussion on which of these films is above or below the other. And the last thing I want to say, even though some may disagree that these are not Spider-Man films, we did include the Venom Duology in here. Hey, he's a big character in Spider-Man. My Marvel Encyclopedia has like 3 pages devoted to him. No other character has that. He's a big guy. He's a Spider-Man villain. We just threw it in there for fun. And we're gonna see where they rank amongst the other Spider-Man films. So without further ado, we are going to rank film number 10. And film number 10 wait. Before we show it, anyone have any guesses on what film number 10 is?
There's only one spot.
So 10 is the worst, right?
10 is the worst. So we're starting from the bottom. 10 is the worst out of the spider. Well, you can kind of see the images on the bottom, but those are the film posters. So
let there be carnage. Let there be carnage.
Carnage.
No.
It has to be carnage.
Amazing
Let there be
Spider-Man.
carnage.
Amazing Spider-Man.
You could say that this movie tried to be amazing for the second time.
I believe it was Let There Be Carnage. I actually saw Let There Be Carnage recently. That film was terrible. It was absolutely terrible, especially coming after the first one. Because the first one, it was bad, but I saw the good in it. I didn't see any good in Let There Be Carnage. I don't know, but
should we just reveal?
We should reveal.
Because I think this will. The people, let's do this, right?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go.
All right, coming up at number 10 is...
Number 10. It's your boy or boys. Here we go, right here. Amazing Spider-Man 2.
All right, so can we discuss
that was a garbage
why
movie.
this is so bad?
I disagree.
I disagree.
I agree that it's a terrible movie. I do not believe it is worse than Let There Be Carnage.
Okay, good. Then we're on the same page. You said that you don't believe that it's worse than Let There Be Carnage.
But maybe Let There Be Carnage shouldn't even be ranked. It's that bad, to be honest. But unfortunately,
I don't know, because I did rewatch Amazing Spider-Man 2 yesterday, and I forgot how horrible the plot lines are on all of this.
Bad.
At least Let There Be Carnage,
terrible.
you know the plot line from like the first 2 seconds of the movie.
Sure.
I guess there's that. You know what you're getting into once you see the first couple seconds of
But
Let There Be Carnage.
You should know what you're getting into with this one. We care for the backstory of Peter's parents. This is what we come for a Spider-Man movie for. This is what we care about.
The backstory of Peter's
We
parents?
care about Richard and Mary Parker and the
No, we don't.
No, we don't. That
Yes,
takes
we don't
away
care.
from Peter
We don't
Parker.
care.
That's why we come to a Spider-Man film for Richard
Absolutely
Parker.
not.
I'm
Absolutely
here for
not.
Richard Parker.
Completely
All right.
disagree.
There's
The
also
first
so
10
many...
minutes of this movie is just a James Bond film. That's all it is.
Poorly
'Cause you
made
have-
James Bond film.
You have a very bad James Bond film, a boring one. You have the scene where Richard Parker's like going toe to toe with some secret agent on a plane, and there's like the music going boom, 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 boom. I don't know.
And you
Not
got Jamie Foxx playing the soloist again for parts of the movie.
With an even worse hairline in that movie. No, he had a hairline in that. What was with his hair in this movie? What was that?
I don't understand that. They didn't have to do that to him.
Nope.
It was his birthday.
It was.
It was his
Spider-Man
birthday.
remembered it.
I'm just pointing out a bunch of things that were just really dumb.
Well,
in that
I
movie.
think to me, the thing that kind of made me mad the most was like Aunt May was pissed off that Peter Parker wanted to know more about his dead parents. She's like, "No, you're my boy. I love you. Forget them." Like, what?
Oh my
He has
God.
every right to want to know about his parents.
He does. I mean, there were just pockets of weirdness in this film. Like they played For You at that
Oh man,
it was so gross. I was like, ew, what is this? I didn't
Right.
expect this in a Spider-Man film.
Mumford and Sons.
When he's montaging on trying to find his parents, and that
That's
song
Mumford
plays.
and Sons, right?
No.
I think.
No, that's Philip Phillips.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Sorry, Mumford and Sons.
What I will
was-
say is, I think so. I definitely ranked Amazing Spider-Man 2 last in my own personal ranking. The reason why I liked Let There Be Carnage more was because they just leaned in to the fact that Venom is ridiculous. That it was like a rom-com situation that they definitely leaned into and just did not care. And I can almost respect that in a way that, like, we know it's not great. We know it's really weird, but it's 90 minutes. You're in and out. And I had a decent time. Was it good? No. But sometimes I don't mind if it's not good, but not in the case of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it was not good and I didn't really have a good time.
That's
So-
fair.
Fair. I can get
That's
down with
fair.
that.
You
You're
also have
going
to play
in.
to like the timing of it, right? Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out
Ooh,
right.
yeah.
right after
2014,
Amazing Spider-Man
2014.
1, and it was such a hyped up movie, and it just completely crashed. With this Carnage movie, we know there's a ton of Spider-Man MCU movies that are out. It knew it was not going to compete well. So, like Erica said, or DrReeka said,
Can I just throw this on the table that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 tried to do too much in one film?
Oh
It
yeah.
Definitely.
It
Absolutely.
wanted to set up its own universe. Sony's
Right.
own universe.
I forgot about that.
Um,
You're right. The whole Sinister Six
The Sinister Six.
tease. Yeah.
We Rhino and
Black
and mind
Cat,
you,
Felicia Hardy.
Felicia
Alistair
Hardy was
Smythe.
in
Alistair
there.
Smythe was in there
Alistair
too.
Smythe.
It's honestly almost like we've done this before up until that point, but no one at Sony wanted to admit it that they were wrong the first time.
Are you talking Spider-Man 3? What you talking
We'll
about?
get there.
Okay.
get
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
I guess there's one thing I want to pose this too. What's your take on Gwen Stacy's death? I feel that's just a plot device. No, I don't think she is. I think she's hardly a presence, let alone a character. If she doesn't die, she doesn't serve her purpose.
I
can
feel
see that.
yeah,
I
I feel very equally to Gwen Stacy as I do feel to Jason Todd pre Death in the Family. Whenever you see them in anything, you're just waiting for them to brutally get murdered.
Well,
So-
I don't know, because you have Spider-Gwen now, so they could take it in a different direction. But it just stings because Emma Stone literally carried those two movies, in my opinion. She was phenomenal as Gwen Stacy. She was just all around awesome. And then, like, for her to go in the second one, it was just like, oh man.
No, I mean, because they even I remember a lot of the pre-production of this film. They had Mary Jane like shot.
Shailene Woodley.
Woodley.
They had her scene shot. They had, I mean, it's all in there, and I'm like, wow, they're really trying to cram everything in this film, like. Because I remember they said that they wanted it to be they knew one of the problems with Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, was the villain bloatness in the film, and they knew they were going to put a bunch of villains in this movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I remember them sending out a statement to, like, I guess in interviews or whatever, saying like, no, we know there's too many villains in this, but it's going to be good. We trust us, guys.
it
Trust us."
wasn't.
It was.
It wasn't.
Their plots are going to
It was not.
intertwine. Oh,
Peter.
And you know, it's my belief that I think Spider-Man and quite a lot of other characters, but we're not speaking about those characters, work well when there's just like one villain, that there is a focus in on, let me save New York, like scaling it down to not even like world-saving proportions where we're really just focused in on one specific plot line, and maybe setting up for something else. And I did feel like this really got off the tracks in terms of like, here are multiple things happening at once and we really can't feel grounded, which I think when Spider-Man is done well, is able to do that.
100%.
I agree. The one positive thing I'll say about it, this is in like my top 3 of the Spider-Man suits. I really like the Spider-Man suit. I like the eyes, the big white eyes.
Very
Wait, when you
ultimate.
say top three out of the 3 movies, The Sam Raimi.
Yeah, out of the different the Sam Raimi's,
There's only been 3 movies, so it's at the bottom either way.
No, there's the suit changes all the time, especially in Homecoming, Spider-Verse. There's different suits.
Yeah, because the first Amazing Spider-Man suit was
atrocious.
Oh, that was the worst. That was the worst. I hated that suit.
They said, let's be different.
honestly like that suit, but
get out of town.
Don't you dare, Nino. Don't you dare.
That's okay.
I like the suit.
Stop playing devil advocate. It's not working.
I'm not. I genuinely like the suit. But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Will we?
there.
We will. I think
we will.
Is any more things to say about this film?
I'm not mad that it's at the very bottom. Well, I'm not mad it's at the very bottom. It could go either or.
It was definitely a toss between this and one other film that would have been my worst.
I could give you the numbers. No, let's not.
I also think though that one thing that they did do well that I kind of liked was they incorporated a lot of animal things with Oscorp into the villains, like Lizard, like the eels for Electro, even though they did not need to make Electro look like an eel. But like I like the fact that it was like animal-based villains and stuff. So it was cool in that aspect. I really liked Oscorp and all that. I can't do Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn turning into like a goblin type thing. Like it was just too weird.
Peter.
His like transformation was way too fast. Like it took his dad like 60 years to like age, and then like he's in his 20s and then immediately turns into a weird looking goblin. It was just too weird.
You just couldn't feel the aura of Spider-Man and what draws fans to Spider-Man. You just don't feel that in that movie.
Except that one scene with that little kid.
No, get out.
That was the worst. That was the worst.
No, you're thinking about the wrong scene. I'm talking about the scene where he helps a little kid like fix his like mechanical pan or whatever.
He broke it more.
No, the turbine.
He broke it more. Webs aren't supposed to hold that together.
Dreams are.
And people aren't supposed to be sticking to walls and swinging on webs, but look, here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. All right, let's go to number 9.
All right, number 9. Well, it's only this or one.
I think it can only be this. It can only be this. Y'all ready? Y'all already alluded to it. It's the one that you said. Let there be carnage.
Let there be carnage.
This film was terrible.
A Carnage, any kind of version of Carnage, you need that R rating. I'm sorry, because all we did was see Carnage slam people on the wall. That's not Carnage. That's just mayhem. We wanted Carnage. There's a difference.
If I had seen the movie, I would agree also, but I don't know.
I think I'm about to get off of the trailer to say this is gonna be trash, and like I didn't waste my money to go watch it.
Wait, so that's 2 people that didn't see. Is there anybody else who did not see this movie?
I've not seen it. I've only watched clips.
I haven't seen it either. I've only watched clips.
I've watched all the spoilers and everything. I know, but I haven't watched it yet. But I will. I will still watch it.
So half the pod has not seen it.
Which is also part of the reason I put it at the bottom.
I think Tevin is the opposition.
Well, yeah, that's not fair. It wasn't that bad to me. Like the difference between like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Carnage is like that's a big gap. Like they're not even like close. I thought it was a decent movie, not better than the first Venom, but I don't think it was. I mean, I can't really remember what else is on this list, but I don't think it was that bad. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to attest to DoctahReeka's point. The rom-com aspect of this film with Venom and Eddie and their bickering and their fighting, that was the most enjoyable part of this movie. I didn't care about Carnage. I cared about them.
Let me ask y'all this. Did it sounded like it became self-aware of what made Venom entertaining? Because I watched Venom, I'm like, gosh, it's so terrible that I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then
agreed.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
I don't like when they become self-aware because then it feels forced. But I haven't seen it yet, so I'm invalid. My point.
I will say, I think I liked this one more than the first one, and I think it is because of that self-awareness. Like Tom Hardy is having a great time.
Yeah,
like it's, and I think there's something about when people kind of let go of the seriousness. I think part of it is because like the MCU is so, there's a formula, people stick to it relatively. and people are pretty serious about like, we gotta hide the secrets. There's like all these different plot points. We have to meld them all together. And I kind of like that, Venom has no idea what it's doing. They just kind of throwing whatever into a movie, keeping it short because I don't have a lot of time on my hands, and entertaining me.
Yeah.
And there was something about that I was like, you know what? It's kind of charming. And I will take
that's
it.
that's how Sam Raimi got some of us, to be fair. So
That's true. I will. The one positive I'll give this film is that it's 90 minutes. So
oh my
God.
it did not. It didn't overstay its welcome.
It didn't.
It didn't. It's that here's the plot. Here's some questionable CGI. Are they in a relationship? Question mark. What the hell's going on in the movie?
There's something going on.
It's symbiotic. It's a symbiotic.
Pretty much to the point.
The toxic relationship.
I just, I can respect it. Is it good? Again, is it good? No, it's not. But it's like the Christmas movies that come out.
Yeah.
Are the Christmas movies good on Netflix? No.
Are Netflix
But we
movies
enjoy
good on
them.
Netflix? No, but we enjoy them.
I mean, are the Christmas classics that good? Rudolph, I just watched it the other day. No, this is their Rudolph, a terrible film.
This is
their Rudolph. I do have to say one thing, and I know that not a lot of people saw the movie, so I'm not going to specifically say what happened at the end credits.
No, you can't.
I saw the end credits.
Oh, no, we talked about it.
Toasty,
We talked about it.
Muted.
I've seen the end credit scene. I know it.
But that end credit scene is really what made the entire
No,
movie.
say it. Toasty gave his approval. Say
Say
it.
it. I didn't.
All right.
I know about it. I know about it. Don't worry.
All right. At the end credit scene, he's on vacation. Superheroes, they just need a vacation. I agree. I think that's great. That's it. Nothing else. Oh, yeah. He was also brought in through the multiverse to the actual MCU universe. That's
There you
that
have
was
it.
the best part of the movie.
Wasn't that great, Toasty?
It was.
Wow.
I already knew about it.
But we could have told you weeks ago.
I didn't want to.
He wanted it on his terms.
Hey, $15 just to see. Hey, Venom is in the MCU now for like 3 seconds.
But he now could appear in No Way Home.
He could.
He could, and he
He
probably
could.
will.
We're still
man.
gonna see R-rated Venom there, but
I feel like Marvel's not gonna let it.
What if
Marvel
we
and
have like the
Disney.
biggest?
It'd be very, very
twist?
small if so.
Can you imagine if it's the biggest twist? We think that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to be in it, and then here comes a plot twist. It's just Spider-Man.
if
and
they don't put the Tobey Maguire dance.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
It could be
out.
Topher Grace.
Stop.
It could be.
It could be
Can
a
you
Venom
imagine Topher Grace and
multiverse.
Tom
It could
Hardy
be.
and
A
Tom Holland?
Venom multiverse. I'm not for it.
Oh yeah, because that's the only villain who they didn't bring back.
Wait, from
Well, from the Raimi films, they didn't bring back Eddie Brock. And his
oh, that's
Venom.
right. No. He did say
Wait, but
on well, he gave a troll response on Instagram where people were like, this was like maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, where people asked
yeah,
him,
that's
"Are
right.
you in the No Way Home film?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I am." And I beat the shit out of Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock because I'm the superior Venom. And like it was like a long ass paragraph
Oh,
of a
I
troll
okay.
response.
I actually did see that.
It was funny. It was funny.
Wait,
But
what
I mean,
if
he
he's telling
might.
the truth? What if he's telling the truth? And actually, there's a Venom versus Venom movie and the Spider-Man movie.
No, it could. It
Could be,
could.
yeah.
He
Could be.
could have just said that just to throw people off so that they stop asking him, and then we go see it this coming week, and we're surprised that he's there.
But see,
Yeah.
look how we're getting off topic, because
getting
this
off
movie is indeed trash. That we can only talk about what this movie sets up versus look at it
Or
what
because
they gave
or
us.
it's so good that we can't stop talking about it.
No, it's
It's so bad
Get
that
outta
we can't
here.
stop
we
talking
can
about
stop
it.
talking about it.
It's but I think we're mostly in agreement of its placement. This you can interchange with Amazing Spider-Man 2, and you're gonna get
the
same
lower
results.
half is very can
very
be
unanimous.
interchanged. Yeah,
Right. So
All right, so should we get on to
with-
the next one?
we're gonna
Yeah.
get on to the next one.
Amazing.
thing.
Number 8.
Oh,
Number
are
8.
you calling it? Rose?
Yeah, I'm calling it. It's amazing.
Any other
You think it's
takers?
amazing?
I think
No,
it's
I see
Venom.
Nino shaking his head.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
Amazing.
it's gonna be Venom.
You think it's gonna be
No.
Venom?
Venom.
Spider-Man.
No.
Okay.
Remember,
No,
you the
amazing.
people voted. You the people.
I know.
What do you mean?
Or sometime wrong.
Here, I got you.
Spider-Man.
There you go.
Thank you.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Thank
Amazing
Oh,
Spider-Man.
Thing.
More people enjoyed Venom over Amazing Spider-Man. That's
that
not
Because
good.
Venom was a funny movie. That's at the end of the day, the first one was a funny movie.
The first one was
plot
funny.
was
What's wrong
garbage,
with
but-
this movie?
The first one has some like funny moments.
But what's
And, like,
wrong with
has some-
this movie?
It
was
got
boring.
everything wrong with
Yeah.
Peter and Spider-Man. Did you know he becomes Spider-Man solely to get revenge on Uncle Ben to kill his killer?
Yeah, the whole Uncle
And
Ben
you know,
thing
I don't
was just
necessarily have a problem with that, like, because then the whole arc of his movie would be like at the end he's like, no, I have to do Spider-Man for the right reasons, and with great power comes great responsibility. The movie does not get there. The movie gets, he gets scratched by the lizard, the cops chase him, and then he swings around New York, and then it's just like, oh, I'm Spider-Man, and oh, you died, but I'm still gonna date your daughter. That's
Right.
fine.
He
Oh my
says
God,
some
he just
promises are
spit on his
best
grave.
broken.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was a mess.
I just hated everything about this Peter Parker. I
Yeah.
mean, I hated the suit. I hated because I don't mind the revenge plot, at least in the beginning. The main problem I had with it was that he was doing it when he donned the suit, because the donning of the suit is supposed to be that revelation for Peter that with great power does come great responsibility.
No, as this
Exactly.
movie said, they said, if you have the power to do those good things, you do those good things.
He really just wanted to say the line,
He
but
really
they
wanted to
tried to
say
be
the
so
line.
different.
I just don't think they should have had Uncle Ben again. We had just
It was
had
the
not been too
timing.
long. It had
It
not
was the
been too
timing,
long
too.
since the Spider-Man Raimi films.
Oh, and
Five
we're,
years. 5
yeah,
years.
we didn't
and we're
need
waiting
another
for the
Uncle Ben
next
film.
Uncle Ben. Like, it's the perpetual cycle of, oh, let's just see this old dude that gets younger all the time die. Because Aunt May is getting younger every time. So it's like,
Right. She's about to be straight
I
out
think-
of high school.
I think this MCU, like the Tom Holland's, like they did a good job. They alluded to it. That's all you need
They
to do.
did.
Just-
Yeah,
everybody knows.
yeah. And we'll talk
Everyone
about
knows.
that.
And
And
I
we'll
feel-
talk about that.
third
I
time.
feel like Spider-Man's origin stories are kind of like Batman's.
I was gonna
that
say, exactly.
You know it. You don't need to see it every damn origin story. You don't need to see it.
No.
It's fine.
If there's a Batman movie and I don't see the Waynes getting gunned down, I'm rioting. They need to
Oh
get
my
gunned down.
goodness.
every
damn
single
those
damn time.
billionaires, those corporate billionaires.
Why couldn't you sit through the show, Bruce? Come on, kid.
I will say
Terrible.
something that I did actually like about this, because I watched it yesterday. So, is I forgot how much chemistry Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have, which I feel like comes out in the films as well. Like I liked the scene on the roof and on the ledge where she finds out that he's Spider-Man, and I just think they had really good chemistry throughout the film, and I really liked. It was chemistry.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
They're basically
It
just
was.
flirting.
In real
They're
life
basically
after
just flirt. Every line with them is just flirting the whole movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's fine. They're high schoolers,
Babbling.
It's fine.
And I did appreciate though, and something we'll talk about a little bit later with the original trilogies. I did feel like Gwen, at least in this one, she had a part to play in terms of like she's the one that got the antidote going, and like so
Yeah.
I did appreciate that they gave her a little bit more to do, rather than just getting captured.
Yeah, Mary Jane was just like a damsel in distress.
Yeah,
Always,
I
every
didn't
single
appreciate that. I mean, okay. Anyway, the point is, I did feel like she did add a little bit more beyond just kind of being the love interest, which was cool to see.
That's
Mhm.
fair.
I also
I
like Flash Thompson. I know that like you have the classic bully tropes and stuff, but there was one scene like right after Uncle Ben died, like he came over to try to kind of like give his
Console.
piece, like, and be like, hey man, I'm sorry that this happened, like blah blah blah. For me, I was like, okay, this was actually kind of sad. Like this is sweet, and like I did like the fact that it kind of drew that emotion out of me, and especially with like that voicemail thing too. Like I don't know, that kind of hit the emotional side. And I understand that like in the first Sam Raimi when Uncle Ben died, like yeah, it was emotional, but like the way that Tobey Maguire cried, I kind of was out of that emotional side.
It was fine.
So this one did tug a little bit more in the heartstrings on that emotional note. But I think that was probably the only kind of like emotional side that I got out of it. There were a lot of also really weird sequences, like his skateboarding sequence and
Oh my
all this
god.
Stupid.
and his
Punk
skateboarding
Peter
jokes.
Parker.
It's Tony Hawk's pro Spider-Man.
Yeah, it gave me Footloose vibes, where he's like dancing in like that abandoned warehouse. Like he's just skateboarding in an abandoned warehouse. You know, like it was just really weird.
He's a jerk. Peter's a jerk, and Peter tries to be cool too hard. It's
He
just
is
not-
a jerk.
Yeah.
He's a jerk. I'm like, this guy's a jerk.
I really do
No,
think
he
that
is.
Mark Webb's direction in this film kind of hinders the film.
500 Days of
because-
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Oh my
well,
God.
it's very much like, oh yeah, we're hipsters and we're doing Spider-Man, and you know that there's certain sequences that just stand out in my head because they're really, really bad. Like when
Just
he's
put on the mask,
when
kid.
the face cam is following Peter and it's like shaky cam. I hate that sequence so much. It's like, and you just see his face like running. I'm like, that's such.
GoPro.
I would say the biggest flaw of this movie is, I think, honestly, Dr. Kirk Connors, because I feel they went with, he is a rehash, he is a mesh of Doc Ock and Norman Osborn from the original trilogy. And
Well,
if you, think about it.
no, he is a remnant of the production of Sam Raimi's canceled Spider-Man 4. He was going to be one of the major players. Sam Raimi wanted to do Vulture as the main villain.
Yep.
And Sony was like, okay, but remember what we did last time with Spider-Man 3, where we wanted you to do Venom? This time, I kind of want you to do a little bit of Kirk Connors. I want you to somehow squeeze Kirk Connors in there as the Lizard. And I can see the resemblance. Like, you know, he is a mishmash of those previous villains. And I feel like that's where Sam Raimi was like, no, I'm not doing this again. And then Spider-Man 4 never happened. We never got Sam Raimi's fourth quadrilogy.
But then we were left with this mesh. And I bet you nobody could tell me the Lizard's plan.
I can, and I was
What was
about
his
He wanted
plan?
to turn everybody into
He wanted to
lizards.
turn anyone into
Lizard
lizard. That's so
people.
stupid.
Lizard people.
So stupid.
That'll
Why?
teach them. That'll teach them.
He immediately goes from like, yes, I'm a caring doctor, and instead, like in the original, like I'm basing it off like the original '90s series, because I think they did the lizard like I was like the first episode, where the lizard was looking to get turned back, and to find help, and that's why he was kidnapping people. And then he goes, and then he realizes, like he's like, no, like as he's slowly progressing, he's slowly realizing that if he can save people, you know what I mean? But it was a progression. This one, he just turned into a lizard. And he's like, you know what would be great if everyone was be a lizard.
Yeah,
Then
because
we
I
can
think
all
his
be-
I'm a
mentality
lizard.
was
Everyone must be.
Yeah, that sucks.
Right.
Get
He was
him
like,
out.
oh, you know, I'm now this hybrid superior being of like lizard that can regrow. Like, can you imagine if everybody can regrow their limbs? Like, this is cool.
Get him
Let's
out
do
of
it.
here.
It's like Planet of the Apes, but with lizards. That's what he wanted.
Exactly. So we got Amazing Spider-Man at number 8. Number 7, I feel like we kind of alluded to it a little bit.
Is this
We
Venom?
all know what's not in the bottom. That should
Right.
be clear.
And what is that?
Well, would you like this next one?
Yeah, let's do the next.
Give it to
Okay,
us.
here you
We
go.
already know.
There it is.
Venom.
Venom.
I'm okay.
I'm
with
okay with
I'm
it
actually
being
kind
there
of
too.
surprised
Yeah, I
that
agree.
Spider-Man 3 did not go into that part.
that. Don't
Because-
you dare.
Spider-Man 3 has 2 good acts. It's only the third
Spider-Man-
act that's trash.
I guess.
Spider-Man 3 does
Oh.
have its problems. Well, we'll get into it when we get to Spider-Man 3. But the good moments are good.
Venom has 1 good act.
And which act is that?
When they first meet and start goofing around.
Oh, goofing around.
I don't know
I-
which
I-
Spider-Man movie. It's either 2 or 3. Venom is better than one of those. I don't know if it's 2 or 3, but Venom is better at least.
Oh well, it's
It
not
has
2.
to be
You're probably,
3.
you're probably saying 3. You're probably
Yeah,
saying
if anything,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
3.
It
And
has
I'm
to
not
be 3.
mad if you say that. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, that's a bold decision. That's a bold.
Listen, there's gonna be a reveal probably closer to the top, and you'll hear my thoughts on that reveal and why I don't care much for it. And we'll
You
say
can-
that for later.
Just
I
don't-
won't do it now. No. I
You
won't
can
do it
find
later.
enjoyment in Venom. There are redeeming qualities. There again, it's their interaction. Tom Hardy talking to himself is probably the most
Yeah.
enjoyable part of the film.
It's funny.
They didn't intend it, but it's a great time.
Yeah.
It's a great time. I don't mind
It's an
watching a movie.
accidental great time.
It's an accidental great time.
To be honest with you, I don't really remember the movie all that much.
No, nothing really happened. He gets
nothing really happened.
He gets it. They order pizza. He says you can't eat people, and then another symbiote comes and they fight.
All I remember is Michelle Williams turning into Venom.
Yes, that happened
she
too.
She was female Venom.
I will
She
say,
had to-
I remember seeing this in theaters and coming out and feeling like it was like one of the very, very early. It had the aura of like a really early comic book film. Like some of the first few that were made that were like, there were some problems in there, but something was enjoyable about it. So I'm thinking like early 2000s. So it had that vibe for me, which I think charmed me because that's how like I even got introduced to superheroes and comic books in the first place. Is like they're really questionable early 2000s comic book films. So it reminded me of that. So I was a little charmed.
No,
But other than that, what else is there for this film? I don't think much at all.
there's really not. Well, whatever problems we had with it, we kind of mentioned it already in Let There Be Carnage.
Right.
They kind of bleed into each other.
Yeah.
I like Kenneth's background now. That's the iconic. That's the iconic scene. I love it.
One thing that somebody brought to my attention is that like with Marvel movies, like especially like the first one, they always tend to have a very similar villain. You know, like the CGI is always similar to like the hero versus the villain. And like we do see that in a lot of Marvel movies. And with this one, when he was doing like the fight against, what is his name? Anti-Venom?
Riot.
Okay.
Riot.
When he was doing his fight against Riot, like I could not tell the difference between the two. One was
They
dark
were
and one was
Oh, it was
mishmashing.
terrible.
They were
it was
mixing it
terrible.
together.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was
It
terrible.
was weird. I mean, again, this movie just suffers from that rating, that PG-13 rating.
Like there's only one, like I think there's like one action sequence that's pretty cool, and I think it's like a car chase scene where he's just like using Venom's powers to just like move throughout the entire city.
Okay, right.
Like that part's actually pretty cool. But other than that, like action wise, the entire movie is like I don't even know what the fuck is happening.
Can I ask y'all, did this movie or the Venom series in general suffer from not having Spider-Man? As a lot of us like to point out.
No, it suffered for being PG-13, not an R-rated movie.
I just think they did it. Yeah, they just did it bad. I mean,
They were
Spider-Man
just
not
holding
being
themselves
there.
back the entire movie. Like they could have gone all out, being R-rated, and just like really let Venom be
Right.
Venom.
Like I know the character's like tied to Spider-Man, but I don't think you need Spider-Man in the film for them to
Right.
make a good
What I
film.
will say is this: there should have been a slight nod or mention to Spider-Man because you don't get this Venom
I
design
wanted that.
without Venom knowing Spider-Man. And they kind of circled back and Let There Be Carnage bonus scene slightly, I guess, but it should have came in at least a slight nod to Spider-Man in Venom, the first one.
I agree. Or even other like Spider-Man characters too, you know? Like this one was so outside of the Spider-Verse that like you don't even realize that it is part of the Spider-Verse unless you're like a nerd, you know? Like,
Actually, that is very funny.
Yeah.
I watched Spider-Man 3 with Jaylene, and she didn't know Venom was tied to Spider-Man because she had seen
Wow.
Venom she saw Venom before or whatever, and so she didn't know that they were
Yeah.
connected.
Exactly.
Did she know it was a Marvel movie?
Maybe, but the point is, she was like, Venom's in Spider-Man? That question should never be asked.
right.
Right.
Should not be.
That's true. That's true. I don't like how he still doesn't have the iconic white spider on his chest yet, part of his outfit. They're waiting way too long. I know at some point he's gonna get it now that you know where he's at right now after Let There Be Carnage, but 2 movies in, you don't got the iconic suit yet. I don't know. I'm not game. You're just a blob with teeth now.
Yeah.
Whatever. All
It just
right.
feels kind. Oh, it just
Oh, no,
feels
go ahead.
Kind, yeah, it just feels kind of weird that two Venom movies in, and Venom doesn't feel like Venom, and he probably won't feel and look like Venom until after he interacts with Spider-Man.
He gets that MCU
Hopefully.
injection.
Who I imagine they're just going to be kind of buddy and be like, let me cover your powers, Peter.
I don't
Something
know.
like that.
I don't know if I see Buddy. I don't know.
He's gonna be so. I mean, this is still high school with Peter. I feel like he's gonna be so weird with him.
Well, he's
We
gonna
saw
be,
him
dude,
lick-
you're an alien. This is awesome.
No, Peter's not in high school anymore.
Yeah, he
Like-
is. He has one more year in high school.
He is. He's
He's
old.
graduating this year.
He's graduating
Mhm.
this year. I mean,
That's a problem.
Which is actually that's what I really wanted, because Spider-Man, like his whole, like everything that was cool about Spider-Man is that he's a young adult that's like trying to figure out his place in society, and like it's the young, it's the innocent side of him. You know, that was the fun part. Like
we'll get
I don't
into
know,
it.
like I
We'll
wanted
get
to
it.
see more high school Spider-Man, but like it seemed like every time they brought it in, they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna be young, and then the next one is like, all right, he's graduating. It's like, dang it, come on, like I want to see more high school. Like him have to battle between like doing his homework and saving the world.
Well, MCU has heard your request. That I will say.
they are taking notes as they listen to this.
I think also in that end credit scene on Carnage, it was really weird that like he saw Spider-Man on TV and he's like, let's go eat him. Like
No,
it was-
he saw Tom Holland on TV and he
Yeah.
was
Right.
like, let's go.
It just, I don't know. Like he didn't, because I can maybe understand if
They're
maybe he
forcing
saw
it.
him. They're
They're
forcing
forcing-
it. They're forcing the
they're
obsession.
saying,
There's
"No."
an explanation, but I don't know if you all will believe it.
Is it
So the
multiverse?
explanation is that these what do you call it?
symbiotes.
Symbiotes are connected to a hive mind that span the entire multiverse,
Oh.
including the symbiote that landed in Spider-Man 3. So he's getting the memories of the Spider-Man 3 symbiote. And
That might be
then
true.
That's cool.
Yeah,
And
but
then what do you call it?
Tom Holland's not in Spider-Man 3 though.
No,
Right.
but he's Spider-Man and they're saying Peter Parker. So he's
Right.
like something's clicking for him that he can't explain.
Because Venom and Let There Be Carnage, he was explaining to Eddie right before the multiverse shift happened. He was telling him, you know, we are connected to a hive mind, and it was like he was alluding to something that Kenneth just explained. And if he's now in here and he sees Peter, he's like, oh yeah, that hive mind thing is clicking, and I want more Parker or whatever. But oh wow,
You want to kill the spider. I want to kill this spider.
Enough. Actually,
All right.
funny
so what
enough,
we got in number 6.
let that segue us into the next film. Ready?
Number 6.
We know
Oh,
where it's-
sorry,
what'd you
sorry,
do? Oh,
sorry.
we have a
No,
tie.
right there. No,
Okay.
right there. Right there. Right there.
Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man.
Other
It- I-
Venom.
It's
we
a
were
lot
gonna get
better
here
than
at
I
some
remember.
point.
Flint Marco.
It's
Do
a
not
lot
do
better
him
than
yet.
people give it credit for.
It is.
really
It's
It
got
is.
good stuff.
It is.
It has good stuff, but when it's bad, it's bad.
When
It's bad. For the skateboard. The skateboard was bad.
The skateboard.
Harry's
Oh,
Back
the
to
goblin,
the Future
new
hoverboard.
goblin.
Oh, okay, the hoverboard, yeah.
Yeah, that was bad. I'm sorry, I don't want to go off and just say what I thought was bad,
Tobey
but
Maguire
obviously the ending was
fans.
bad. No, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Wait, what was?
When he's dancing around to James Brown, that's fun. I
Emo
had
Peter?
fun.
Yes,
Oh my
Emo
God.
That's
Peter's
hilarious.
iconic.
That's a hilarious scene. Come on.
Emo Peter is hilarious.
It's,
But
I
is it
think
good?
one of the worst scenes is when one of the worst things is that when this movie takes itself way too seriously, like on the bridge with the ring and the flowers, and Mary Jane's like, I don't love you anymore. And then he looks around, and then James Franco is just like eating his pie. And then the lady comes up to him, and is like, how's the pie? He's like, delicious.
That is iconic.
Okay, it is hilarious also. Come
Those are
on.
beautiful scenes. Those are the pockets of greatness that are in this. You could tell Sam Raimi was having fun with these scenes. I mean, this movie was definitely a victim of just studio. meddling.
Oh, yeah.
Studio meddling. Because you can clearly see the type of vibe with what Sam Raimi does with his villains whenever Peter is encountering like Sandman. I feel like he wrote him really well, at least in terms of this film. But then you got Sony coming in and they're saying, but wait, we want Venom in this as well. And then once you start getting the Venom interactions, well, I guess it's a double-edged sword. Venom's terrible in this movie, but without the symbiote, we would not have emo Peter Parker.
But see, that's the thing, is Venom symbiote being in the film was fine. They should have just saved Venom for Spider-Man 4. That symbiote falling on Eddie should have been the ending of the film.
I
Yeah.
think it could have worked.
I don't agree. I think it's a much more interesting movie if after the first two films, Peter, who is known to be like this in these films, if Peter just decides to be like, let the fame go to his head and just become an asshole because of it. I think you have a far more interesting film when it's about Peter like letting the bad influences influence how he uses his powers, like trying to go for revenge for Flip Marco, or trying to
Beat the
trying
crap out
to
of
solve-
Harry.
yeah, and then trying to be the hero and be, get all the attention and all the love from these people like Gwen Stacy and all these, and the city of New York, just for the hype, because there's one great scene in the movie where he looks at the crowd and he's like, they love me, they really love me, and it's cheesy, but it shows where Peter's head is at. And he didn't kiss Gwen Stacy with the symbiote on. He kissed Gwen Stacy just because he wanted to. And
That's
I think you
right.
have a far more interesting movie and a lot more to say about the human condition when Peter just lets himself go there.
I agree. I watched this yesterday as well. It's been a marathon, y'all. And something that I did find interesting was you could see like allusions to that, even at the dinner where he was planning to propose, where she was just like, yeah, this bad review. And he's like, yeah, just don't like, this happens to me all the time. I'm like, sir, you're not even being empathetic. Like, you're hearing nothing about what she's trying to share with you. So like, you can already see the seeds of that, even without the symbiotes. I agree. I think it would have been a more compelling story to, again, scale it down. We didn't need multiple villains. I think, one with also kind of that wrestling with himself would have been enough. And at least would have been compelling to me. So I agree.
What about Sandman? Anyone for him, against him?
I'm
I
on board the
mean, with
Sandman
Sandman, like it's interesting that they kind of retconned him to like be part of Uncle Ben's death. I don't know. I enjoyed Sandman. I saw his struggle with trying to like be there for his family. He's a mugger, I don't know. His was fine. The thing is that
Mugger.
Oh,
He
I just said
mugged.
mother.
like I don't like with that movie. There was just so much going on. There was Sandman. There was Goblin 2.0. There was Venom. There was just too much, so I couldn't really get fully invested in any of the villains because all of my attention was divided. So, and I think that's what kind of made this movie so low on the totem pole, is because when you put too much in there, you're not focusing on the good aspects on some of the other villains, like Doc Ock. He was the only villain in Spider-Man 2, and that one was such a great movie.
NinoDesplazado made me watch this video a long time ago, and it puts it perfectly, but not until the very end of the film do any of the villains share the story at one point. Something always happens to one of the villains, and then the other one takes the main focus. For example, it's Harry in the beginning, and then Harry gets amnesia, so he's out. Then enter Sandman. Then Black Suit Spider-Man kills Sandman. He's out. Bring Harry back in. Kills Harry or blows up Harry's face. Enter Venom. It's multiple. It's almost like 3 different movies were being made.
Right.
Or like an anthology series of Spider-Man and these 3 different stories that they just forcibly converge in the final act, which was the problem. Is that it wasn't cohesive. It didn't move how it should. Yes, essentially doing too much, doing the most.
Overbloated, for sure.
Right.
I agree. So with Spider-Man 3 at number 6, we're getting close to the end game. We got 5 more films left.
Well, this is where I'd say things get interesting. I think a lot of people will have stuff to say about who comes in what. So without further ado, let's see how y'all feel.
I'm nervous.
Let's see how y'all feel.
What is it?
Spider-Man
Homecoming, number 5.
Homecoming.
I
I'm okay
agree.
with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Okay.
that. I agree.
I'm okay.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
Homecoming was not that good. It was okay.
It was- It
Overrated.
was fun.
yeah,
I thought it was-
overrated. That's the perfect word.
Yeah, it's good,
Overrated.
but it is overrated. It's
Like,
good.
Yeah.
it's enjoyable, but again, yeah, the hype that it got, it's like, no.
I think people were just excited to see this version of Spider-Man, which I think the performances in this film really carry this film, but I also think that the issue was that people were this was a palate cleanser for not only the MCU but also for Spider-Man movies. People
Yeah.
were tired of seeing Spider-Man swing around New York. They're tired of seeing Uncle Ben die. They're tired of seeing these very serious, like, you know, things happen to Spider-Man. And in this movie, you just get very, very lighthearted with a great villain,
Right.
and that great scene in that car where you just see
Idiot.
the red light and the
No
green.
poker
Oh
face.
God,
No
It's
poker
great.
face. Idiot. He's an
Perfect.
idiot.
He's a high schooler. What do
Oh
you
my gosh,
expect?
put on a poker face, dude.
He is a child.
Oh my gosh.
No,
And
Hey.
plus, like, if it's not nervous enough that you're meeting like your date's dad, like now your date's dad is like a villain. It's like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh
the
god.
first
Like,
villain.
it's-
Mind you, this is
try.
the first villain. This
He
is his
didn't
first villain.
try to
Right.
mask the fact that she was connecting all these dots, and he's over here. He's like, damn. Like, come on,
I
kid.
thought it was really good. Like, you hit on so many good points, NinoDesplazado. Like, he was like, he hit like all those things. You know, like the only thing that I do wish, he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that wasn't in his neighborhood for any of these movies. To be honest with you, you know, like I get it. He went to DC on the field trip. That was cool. But then another field trip in another country, like, but this one, I thought it was really cool how they kind of did a different sort of love interest, like Lana Lang, Lois Lane type thing. Like you have that love interest in the beginning, and it just didn't go like according to his plan. And this is kind of like how most high school love stories are. Like you have the one that you think is going to be your forever girl, but then something changes.
Well, then her dad's a villain who's been trying
Yeah.
to steal from Tony Stark.
I honestly think that he is top tier villain. If he's not number one, he's definitely top 3.
He's up there, no doubt.
Vulture was a great villain. I liked Vulture a lot as a villain. The movie, again, yeah, a little bit overrated here and there, but I had a good time with
Vulture
it.
is probably the saving grace for me for this
Michael
film.
Keaton.
Oh, Vulture is the best thing. Like for me, and like what I liked the most in that movie was Vulture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where he's coming from too, his drive and his
Like,
resentment.
It was
get
kind of like I can understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Like,
Oh, and this movie also like introduced some realism in the fact that like after New York in 2012 with the Avengers, like you have all of these like humans that are like, yo, what the heck just happened? And like now you have introducing other side trades, like people that have to now clean up this mess. What happens to all this alien gear? Like
Right.
it hinted at a lot of these interesting facts that like Marvel does a good job of like kind of connecting and making it that much more real. One thing I did not like though was that like he had Karen in his suit, the little voice.
Oh, the AI.
Yeah,
Well,
like I thought that was
that's
a
a
little
bigger problem with
That's
these
too-
films.
Yeah, it was
Two
too
Iron Man.
To Iron Man. That's my
Iron Man.
biggest
I-
gripe with this iteration.
I was gonna
of
ask
Spider-Man
about
is
that.
I disagree, and this is why I disagree, because in the comics it's a lot easier to get Spider-Man's internal monologue, because look how Sam Raimi like did Spider-Man. He completely ignored the inner monologue of Spider-Man completely, and then in these films they wanted to go back to it, but they were like, that's kind of fucking weird that Spider-Man talks to himself in these movies, so we have to give him something to talk to.
Why is it
And they were
weird that he
like-
talks to himself though?
Yeah, it's not that weird to talk to yourself. I do it all the time.
Same.
I mean, yeah, but like to
weird.
see it in a movie, it kind of is weird, because then you can only see it as they're breaking
Yeah.
the third wall.
You
Or fourth
can-
wall.
You because like in a movie where like Spider-Man's like moving around like at breakneck speeds, he only has so much time to say what he's internally thinking, whereas in a comic book you have that panel and you probably have like a paragraph or two of him just like blast processing of like what he's trying to do, what he's thinking, who's in danger, who's he trying to save. So I do get what Nino's saying.
But the heart of the though is still it's Iron Man. You have an AI that talks to him. You have him, chasing after Tony throughout the whole movie. You have a villain who's grounded in trying to get revenge on Tony Stark. And that is the problem with granted, this is probably the most comic booky Spider-Man film where, ties in to the greater Marvel, which is just like a comic book. For example, like the Ultimate series does a very good job at that. But it's too grounded in the world of Iron Man it loses its Spider-Man identity a lot.
I agree.
He is on the front cover of the poster.
And he doesn't even fly with Spider-Man in the movie. It never happened. They lied because they knew people wanted to see Iron Man.
No, for sure. I mean, I can understand people's distaste with like the whole Iron Man focus with Spider-Man's character. I personally like it. I thought it was different enough. I like the student mentor relationship that they have. Maybe it's too much for his character, but I'm fine with it. This was after Amazing Spider-Man and the Raimi trilogy, and I just wanted something different with Spider-Man. I've seen High School Peter so many times. I have not seen High School Peter being mentored by Tony Stark like at all. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but in a way, like it kind of also takes away from Peter's like intelligence, because in the comic books, Peter Parker is part of the Illuminati. He's like one of the biggest think tanks in some of the stuff. So it's weird to see like how he's very dependent on Stark technologies, like his second suit. Like I feel like now that he has this OP nano suit, like, it's hard for, him to do some of the more realistic battles. And then he has Karen, he has kill mode, he has all this like this stuff that's just given to him. And like in a way, it's kind of like taking away the light from Peter. Like he develops his web shooters, he enhances his suits to fight whatever villain he's fighting. Like he doesn't need to go and program it into like that really cool machine that Happy had on the plane that like, he can design his own suit, like, I don't know.
How convenient.
That's fair. Fair.
But also you have to think about it like this. Like in these movies, he still is as brilliant as he is in the comics, because he still has to be able to use the machine to make the suit. He still has to have the designs. He still makes his web, and you can see it in this movie. Like he's like, oh, I gotta make it. And we'll get more to it when we get to Far From Home. But there are also like visual like cues that I forget the director of these films, but he's doing a great job.
Gosh darn it.
It's the same guy.
Yeah, give me a second. But yes.
Not Mark Webb. That's what I'm gonna put.
John Watts.
John Watts.
There it is. He's doing a great job because like you can still see that he's trying to visually cue in the audience that Peter is not living off of Tony. Like in the beginning of Far From Home, he has a cracked phone screen. He is still living in his apartment with Aunt May. He's still there's a lot more visual cues and like that, but that people might miss out on. But he's still trying to sneak it in. And this is also it really is a homecoming, because Spider-Man was away from Marvel for so long. This is really the beginning of the passing of the torch from the face of the MCU to the next face of the MCU.
Whoa, that's a big statement.
Which, well, I don't want to talk about the next film, but yes, I think in the next Tom Holland trilogy, we'll have our Spider-Man identity, and we won't have this problem again.
I agree.
Yep.
All right. So are we going to the next one?
Speaking of next film, does anyone have any guess? Do we think we're going into Raimi territory? Are we still in Tom Holland's universe? Who do we think is at number
still
4?
on Tom Holland's.
I would say Raimi territory.
I think
Raimi.
Holland.
Okay, we're kind of divided.
I'm just shaking it up. I'm just shaking it up. We'll see.
All right,
okay.
All right.
Well.
So next up.
Yep. Here you
number
go.
4. We got
Spider-Man
1.
The classic.
The classic.
Someone pointed
I'm okay
out
with it.
I'm okay with it too, because They do a good job of establishing their characters in this film. They do a fantastic job. But when it comes to Spider-Man, well, someone put it best. He doesn't put the suit on until 55 minutes into the movie. You know?
Yeah, they're establishing him. So
no, which is fine, but there's a lot of foundation building in this movie to where when you get to the Spider-Man, the second act and third act of this movie is relatively rushed. It's relatively rushed. Like it moves. It just moves and doesn't really slow down.
It's a really well-paced film.
Here's my argument with this, and this is why I think it should be a little bit higher. This Spider-Man movie revolutionized the superhero movie industry. We had Blade, we had X-Men right before it, but this one really captured everyone's attention. And this gave us all of the MCU movies, because this really showed like, man, a superhero movie can make this much money and make this much hype. Like, all right, let's start putting some big bucks behind it. Also, this was probably the first character that had a superhero costume that people were super excited to see. In the X-Men, they didn't do their cheesy 90s costumes. You know, Blade had his trench coat, but like, this is a straight up like Spider-Man costume, and people loved it. You know, like, this was a beloved film. I remember when I was a kid, I saw on MTV, like, there's that one scene where he's like on the roof and his blood is dripping from his arm. Like, I got a sneak peek of that, and that moment changed my life when it came to like watching MCU or Spider-Man and Marvel movies. And I'm like, I need more of this. This is so cool. So the reason why I want this one to be so much higher up is because of where it's placed in its time. You know, like, it really did revolutionize everything for us moving forward.
This goes back to our conversation. We are not knocking the revolutionary of it. We are looking at it as a story, though. And you know what? And I'm going to lay this out on the table. Someone tell me Green Goblin's plan.
He doesn't need a plan. It's Willem Dafoe.
He was crazy and he wanted revenge.
He didn't have a plan.
He had a plan. He had a plan.
What's his plan?
To
the heart, Osborn.
The heart, and to change Spider-Man to be on his side.
To do what?
To be on his side. To
do
screw around. To screw around in the city.
Screw around.
He was trying to save his company. He was getting kicked out of his own company.
And how was Spider-Man going to get him back in his company?
Well, that's the thing, is that he went to go take revenge on the people who tried to get him out. Spider-Man.
He did it.
But who showed up? Who showed up when he went to kill those corporate people?
He got them. Spider-Man didn't save them. Spider-Man said,
he showed up as a threat. He saw him as Spider-Man as a threat.
He finished his plan.
He finished his plan, but he saw something better. In what?
Right.
Look at Nino's background with how homed in on Spider-Man's ass Goblin is going for the kill. He saw Spider-Man. He's like, oh my God, there's another freak out here that is on the same level as me.
It's an apex predator fighting another apex.
No, it's not.
Exactly.
You and I
could peeling the layers.
He said, you and I could rule this city.
Layers are back.
You and I could rule this city. That's all he said. That's all he said, and then
because
he does.
But no, that's not all he said. He said we can either do one of two things. He says we can either do this circus and run around and end up killing each other, or we can work together and rule the city.
Right.
Very clear.
But
He
what
saw
is
Spider-Man
rule
as
the
the immediate threat.
Control everything.
What?
That's not ruling me.
He didn't want to control everything. He said,
yes, he did.
You'll never know when some lunatic will come around with a sadistic choice. That's all he did. And he made him choose.
As the CEO of Oscorp Industries, you can argue that Osborn had it all. He was in control of his life. He made millions, if not billions, and he was on top of the world. Then that was being taken from him. And then once he got the injection, that just amplified his insanity, because now it's not like, oh, I'm just going to kill these guys and, just be the board of my own company again. But now I want to rule the city. I want to rule it with Spider-Man.
Yo, he did not have a plan. The dude did not have a
But
plan.
I have another question. I have another question. In the comics, does Green Goblin ever like really have a plan other than I'm crazy and I want to rule everything?
Yes.
Name me one.
He says, I'm the only goblin.
Trick or treat, smell my feet. Time to throw you off the street.
That was Hobgoblin who said that. All I'm saying, what I am getting at,
You did not answer Nino's question.
I did answer his question.
No, you didn't.
He said, I want to be the only goblin. So he tried to go kill Hobgoblin.
That's Green Goblin's plot.
That's one plot.
That's not.
I think, but think about it like this:
Is that
Spider-Man? I want to be the only superpowered freak. Goes and tries to kill Spider-Man.
Listen, all I'm saying is that's why this movie is not higher, because there are better villain arcs out there. This dude killed everybody who wronged him. They all died. He got the general. He got them board of directors. He got them all. He didn't get to taste the turkey. That's also why he's mad.
You can't do this to me.
She said, Norman.
If you remember that scene correctly, he did taste that
barely,
what do you call it, that casserole.
Barely. That dude wanted skin. He wanted skin.
Yeah. That's right.
I will say is something I appreciate about the film is, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but this was the first like example of it where it felt very scaled down. I think one of my complaints about like current MCU is everything is world ending. And so it kind of gets away from you because like how realistic like is the world going to end every single movie that we watch? So I do appreciate that this is just like it's happening in New York, and you know there is that we could have our problems with motivations behind the Green Goblin existing, but at least there was that one-on-one piece. And as far as like the final fight, it was literally the two of them. It wasn't like things falling from space or from what, like it just felt more intimate in terms of like the storyline, which I really appreciated. It felt more like, you know, I'm reading a comic book than it did like we just need a lot of CGI and to blow a lot of shit up. So that's something I wish. Yeah,
Intimate's a really good word.
This movie was my first introduction to like how Spider-Man got his powers. So for the longest time, I actually thought he had organic web shooters in the comics.
We all did.
Yep.
So,
except if you played the PS1 Spider-Man, where he's like, I'm out of web cartridges.
Except if you watch the 90s
Spider-Man.
All right.
He's like, I'm out of web cartridges.
All right. Spider-Man 1, number 4.
Sorry, real quick. The superior Flash Thompson is this one.
I agree.
Yes. Joe
Manganiello, whatever.
Yeah.
Magic Mike.
I don't want to hurt you, Flash.
I wouldn't want to fight me neither.
Yeah, kick his ass, Flash. Also,
what's he gonna do? His father will fire your father. What's he gonna do, big boy? Sue me.
Also, this iconic moment happened in that movie.
Oh, there's so many iconic moments. Excuse me, Miss Watson, I'm talking to you.
Oh my God.
But
J. Jonah, perfect.
J. Jonah Jameson, absolutely perfect cast.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love this movie. I just
it's
like
a legendary
calling out
movie.
the ludicrousy of Green Goblin.
We all know it's legendary.
It's legendary.
And they gave us a holiday movie. Name me another Thanksgiving movie.
The turkey movie where the turkeys go back in time and try to make turkeys not be the Thanksgiving bird.
Never heard of it. I remember that movie.
Thank you.
I do remember that. That was a cartoon movie.
Turkey Run. Owen Wilson plays one of the turkeys.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I agree with Rose.
Never heard of her.
Ka-chow, turkey.
We're at the last 3. The placement of these, there's no way there's gonna be a unanimous agreement. Let's do it. Any takes on number 3?
Far From Home.
Probably Far From Home.
Far From Home.
I'd take a guess.
Far From Home. Okay.
Far From Home. Yes.
That part,
there's no way it's
that part
number
seems
1
unanimous.
or number
That
2.
part seems unanimous. Well, number 3 is actually.
No way.
You guys are blasting.
I'm kidding.
I'm done.
We're kidding. We're kidding.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that seems more reasonable.
Right. I think suffers from the same thing I said earlier, the Tony Stark bit.
Yeah, reliance on Iron Man and Tony Stark is
Right.
the biggest gripe I had with this movie. But I enjoyed it.
Oh,
And
very
Spider
enjoyable.
Spider
Yeah.
Tingle is fun to me. Jake
And this-
Gyllenhaal did great.
Jake
Oh,
Gyllenhaal
yeah.
was probably the best part.
The Mysterio bits. They really did well with their villains. in
Mysterio,
the
yeah,
Spider-Man
Mysterio
films.
in that sequence. You know,
No, for sure. The illusion part. when
Yes,
he's like, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mysterio's a very hard villain to get right, and I was worried that they were gonna really mess him up on
You can.
screen because he's just very trippy. They did him perfectly.
I think so.
That one scene changed that movie, the trajectory of that movie, to just being Homecoming level to being really, 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 really good.
The bar scene.
No, not the bar scene.
Which one?
That was a
the
good scene, though.
the Mysterio scene.
right before he
Where-
got hit by the train.
Yeah.
Right.
That from that point on, that movie went skyrocketing.
I thought the first
Right.
movie was better. Trust me.
Ooh,
Are you serious?
Hot take.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first movie more. I like Vulture more than I like Mysterio.
I did
I'm
like
not sure.
Vulture.
But what about everything else though, Toasty?
I mean, everything else wasn't that bad. It's just that I don't know. Like, I didn't care for much of the plot of the movie. I thought the Mysterio plot was kind of stupid. I understand why he did it, but it was just a bunch of petty people getting together to get revenge on Tony Stark that had been dead already. So they decided to bully a kid. So, like,
Oh god.
He's
oh,
the
yeah,
Tony
yeah,
Stark
yeah, I'm gonna go
protege.
to
He's the
second
Tony
film.
Stark protege. So they
Like-
have to go to him next.
No, like they decided to bully a kid. That's what it was. Like, y'all could have done so much better. If you created an awesome technology, you could have become a billionaire yourself. Except you're so petty that you don't realize what you could do with your tech that you created. That's the entire plot of the movie.
Fair.
Yeah.
I thought.
I mean, that's
No,
light.
I thought
That is
Vulture
fair.
and Vulture, I feel like his plot was more realistic. This is a man that he got a job, a cleanup job. He bought a bunch of equipment, and out of nowhere, some bigger guy comes out of nowhere, kicks him out, and he's out of money. And he's like, I was forced into the life of a villain. Those guys from the second movie were just clowns that just didn't know what to do with the thing that they had. They're like, oh, let me be petty. This guy is dead, but you know what? I'm gonna go after that guy you like. That's the perfect plan. Come on, y'all.
Let me ask you this, Toasty. Which movie between Homecoming and Far From Home felt more Spider-Man to you? As
Honestly-
in the character Spider-Man.
Okay, in terms of the character Spider-Man, I would say, yeah, you can say the second one was more Spider-Man-ish. He had more moments where, yeah, I would say the second was more Spider-Man-ish, but still, like the plot of the first one, I enjoyed the most.
Fair.
Yeah, if that makes sense. Like I thought, like the villain made more sense. It was realistic in a way.
It makes
Those
Sometimes-
guys,
no,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah,
a villain,
I-
if it's not
Right.
done well, it could pull you out of a movie.
Exactly, because you had
But
a bunch of people that were genius level that used to work for Stark Industry that decided to get together instead of creating their own company. They created some random tech where they could do stuff like that. I mean, they could have sold that tech to the military for all I care, but no, they decided to be more petty and bully a 16-year-old kid. Think about it; those are grown-ass men and women bullying a 16-year-old kid. That was their day plan. They woke up this morning like, you know what? What are we gonna do to this kid? Y'all, this needs to stop.
But I think Mysterio, I agree with you. I agree with your points.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're citing as a weakness is the strength of the movie as well. Because if you just lean into the ridiculousness of it, that movie becomes so much more enjoyable. Because Mysterio is like that in the comics. He's just a very petty, delusional man that gets like he doesn't have like that, what do you call it, like that gravitas or like that backbone that other villains have, because they have a verified reason of why they're doing this. He's just like, no, I'm just an asshole. Like, I'm just an asshole, and I want to, to do everything and anything I can to be an asshole.
That's what I mean, with Mysterio, I was really worried about his character coming into the film, because the most portrayal I've seen of Mysterio, like outside of the comics, has been used as like a gag character, where like he's not taken seriously. He's just the guy with the fishbowl. For those of you that played Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, Mysterio was this hyped up villain in Spider-Man 2, but then once you confront him in that like 7-Eleven gas station mart, you like punch him once and he dies. Like his fishbowl falls off, and it's like, oh wow, I guess he was just a joke. So I like how they took a character like that and made it interesting. The Homecoming movies, I felt like did a good job with their villains, with Vulture and then with Mysterio for sure.
Oh, I felt like an idiot because I actually believed that he could be good.
You believed in the multiverse shtick he was spilling out.
No, I believe when they marketed him as a hero or like he would be helping Peter, I was fooled. And so I guess that adds credit to the movie now.
That means you would have had to believe that he was from a multiverse, because that was the whole bit.
The first marketing didn't mention the multiverse. It was like the second trailer that mentioned the multiverse. The point is, I was duped, and I was just about to bash Nick Fury and friends for being duped, but I was duped too, so I can't bash them for that. So
okay.
Me too. I was duped also.
Right. I thought they would. They pulled the rug from under us, but I thought they would switch it up and maybe he would be a hero.
This movie was really just the comedy of errors by William Shakespeare.
Yes. All right. We're in the end game now. This one, there's no change in anyone's mind. There's only one right answer.
Spider-Man 2 for a second.
We're revealing number one first, right?
Well, I feel like once you reveal number two,
right,
you just reveal number one.
Just reveal number one.
It's there at the same time. But before we do the reveal,
draw the battle lines right
Draw
now.
the battle lines. Team Spider-Man 2 or Team Into the Spider-Verse?
Pizza time, baby. It's
who
pizza
was that
time.
number one?
Spider-Man 2.
Pizza time, baby.
No, Into the Spider-Verse is number
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, definitely.
It's my personal favorite.
Where are all the Spider-Man 2s? There was more.
I'm here, Spider-Man 2.
Thank you.
All right. Let's throw it at the board. At number 2, where it belongs. You're right. Into the Spider-Verse.
Director's choice.
Director's cut. Well, at number 1, baby, let's go. Into the Spider-Verse, number 1, meaning Spider-Man 2 is the second best Spider-Man.
Let me say real quick. Into the Spider-Verse is my number 1, but it's kind of hard to put it on this list because it's an animated movie.
Don't do that to it.
It's a Spider-Man movie.
It's Spider-Man.
It is, but it's tough. There's so many other Spider-Man mediums you can add on too. You can add the video game story.
No, that's got.
No.
If we're
not
talking about
films.
Spider-Man stories, then we can.
It's a movie.
Story. If
The
it's
PS4
stories,
is a
we
movie.
can broaden it. We can expand it.
Yeah, but this is theatrical films.
Yeah,
I don't know. The stuff that Into the Spider-Verse excels at is in categories that a regular movie can't even gauge. So you got that greatness and you got the story greatness. It's no chance. None of these movies have a chance.
Yes, they did. Spider-Man 2 deserves number 1. You know why?
It does not.
Yes, it does.
Go ahead. Explain
Explain
why, and I will tell you why it's
All right,
wrong.
I'll do a back and forth, and it's because how dare you throw in all these other people in a Miles Morales movie and take away from Miles Morales? I want Miles Morales, not Spider-Pig. And
Well, you have to establish
in
the
the
character.
Spider-Gwen.
It's still very new.
and Kimiko.
So you
How
wanted
can
no
we-
characters then in
No,
Spider-Verse. You just
that's
wanted
not
the
what I
one
said.
main. You
That's
just wanted
not what-
Miles through and through.
No, but you took away from his growth because now we got to give character development and arcs to everybody when this is Miles's film. And you took that away from him by throwing in all these other Spider people. Now, Spider-Man 2 focuses on our boy Peter, his struggles. He shat on the whole entire movie and questions what he wants to do with his life. Why keep doing this if he keeps getting shat on? He can't keep a job, can't get paid, can't keep a girl, can't keep a motorcycle, he can't keep a ticket, he can't keep nothing. The boy's life is trash. How can he afford college if he can't afford his apartment? Oh, he
Still
might have a
knows.
scholarship. Maybe he does. There are things to help with that. But goodness
Right.
gracious, Aunt May can't even give him $20 without breaking down in tears. Everybody's life sucks in this movie. And he still comes out on top because he says, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm going to hold that train. I'm going to stop that train from falling.
Beautiful.
Right.
What I will say about Spider-Man 2, it has probably the most iconic scenes in the entire Spider-Man like film franchise in general. Like the train scene, that fight train sequence, beautiful. The one where he stops the train, beautiful. Pizza time, beautiful. There's a lot of iconic scenes in Spider-Man 2. But Grandmaster, I feel like Spider-Man is not truly himself in Spider-Man 2. And the reason why part of, and this is just one example, Spider-Man is a jokester. He likes to have fun in his battle.
He made a joke.
He made one
Here's your
joke.
change.
The one joke
Here's
in
your
the
change. That was hilarious.
It was hilarious, but it was just one, and I
Okay,
hated
there's
it.
two. There's another one. He's
What's
about
the
to
other
crush his head. He's like, you're becoming a real thorn in my side. And he's like, I have a knack for that. That's funny.
Here's your change was better. Listen, Into the
Good stuff.
Spider-Verse. Listen, think about what Into the Spider-Verse had going for
So
it.
jokes. This is about jokes. This is a conversation
No,
about jokes.
it's about the character. If you miss an aspect of Spider-Man, then I cannot consider it to be a better Spider-Man movie than a movie that did Spider-Man justice.
Miles ain't funny. He's quirky.
Yes, he is.
He's not
That's
funny.
That can be funny.
He said, "What's it? The touch? Hey,
Hilarious. Come on.
that's not
just
funny.
laughed.
He's
You chuckled.
quirky. He's not funny.
You're
That's
laughing right
hilarious.
now.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at its awkward pain. It's cringe humor that you non-Office fans say you don't like, but then you
Okay,
like that stuff.
But
Right
wait a
there.
minute.
Non-office?
You're taking out the jokes from the context.
Who are you talking about?
You're taking out the jokes from the context because you want to know something. The reason why Spider-Man 2 had no jokes was because they were beating down on people endlessly.
Right.
And we have wait. I'm not on
He's
your
not
side.
on your
Don't get it wrong.
side.
Spider-Man 2 had its place and it has its place in the Spider-Man pantheon, but Into the Spider-Verse went beyond. It gave it the reason why the cringe humor works is because it is a coming of age tale. I don't know where like you missed that. They even reference Great Expectations, the greatest Bildungsroman in the entire English
didn't miss
literature language. But what do you call it? The reason why it works is because you seeing Miles grow up, you seeing Miles get to those awkward stages that everyone had to go through, and not only that, getting his powers is also a metaphor for puberty in this movie.
It took him
And-
2 days.
What?
The span of the movie was 2 days.
Okay, and like
He went
things
through
when you're
puberty
a
in 2
teenager,
days.
when you're a teenager, life comes at you very fast, and there's a lot of things that you can't control. In this movie, that's exactly what happens to Miles, and I think it's great because the side characters don't take up as much space as you're saying they do. Miles is the center of that
He
movie.
is.
Miles is the one that brings everyone together. Miles is the one who saves the day. He's the one who steps up and says, "No, I got this." And the way that they crafted that movie is reflective of everything. It's such a great film that each piece builds on to the greater theme. And that's all I have to say about that.
Well said. The
Speechless,
worst part
Grandmaster?
about
Are you
worst
speechless
part
now?
about it is
I'm not
He is-
speechless.
He
We
is
can keep going.
speechless.
But I'd rather hear y'all's opinions versus mine.
had you said sunflower, you might have had me listen.
The
You know what?
soundtrack
Don't do
is
that.
phenomenal.
Raindrops keep falling on my head. Beats Sunflower.
No.
Every time.
That's my only gripe with Into the Spider-Verse is that I do not like Sunflower as the staple song.
Oh,
Really?
Really?
That's it.
Ah.
I mean, it has nothing to do with whatever NinoDesplazado just said,
No,
but it's a
said
good
everything
song.
beautifully.
It is a good song. It is the theme. He sings it a lot. Sings it throughout multiple parts of the film.
Even the second film.
Oh yeah, he is singing in the
Yeah.
second film as well. What about everyone else? Like,
Yeah,
what's your
I
thoughts
was-
on the placement?
I was gonna say this is the placement, my personal placement as well. And I did just watch again marathon. I did just watch Spider-Man 2 yesterday, and that shit slaps. I forgot how good Spider-Man
does.
2 is. Like I know, like theoretically, I was like, yeah, that's a really good movie. And then I was watching, I was like, damn, this really is a good movie. And I'd recently listened to a podcast of like people right before Eternals came out. They were ranking like their favorite sequel, like comic book sequels. And so this, of course, was in conversation along with Winter Soldier, which, you know, y'all had some conversation about during the MCU ranking. And I was like, yeah, let me revisit it. It really is very good. And I think the thing that these two have in common, at least, which is why they're the top two for me, is like the emotional beats. As far as, and I think GrandMasterHoop was starting to allude to that because things were going so poorly, you could see that reflected in how Peter thought about himself and that his powers stopped working and that there was just like a lack of investment and just like that burnout that I think I just personally relate to, being at a certain point of my own career and my own life where it's like, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like this, what I'm doing aligns with like my purpose and who I am as a person, but I definitely just feel that increased stress and burnout because it's been so long and that at times I don't feel as appreciated. And I could see that reflected in that and feel that personal connection. However, I also felt a lot of those emotional beats within, Into the Spider-Verse. And as far as like seeing his journey again, that lack of self-belief and that you had to have these additional characters around kind of like, here is our experience and we do believe in you and you have this capability because we went through the same thing. And here's what led us to us finding our purpose and us being these heroes, but you just have to find that spark within yourself. And he did. And I think my background, of course, is the iconic moment to which we did see that like that crescendo of that own personal self-belief. And it wasn't just like all these characters like pushing him, but it's mainly like, here's an example, you can take it or not. But the only way it's ever going to work is the only way you're ever going to be Spider-Man is if you believe in yourself. And I think that's a really wonderful message to give to kids and to give to people in general, that it's not necessarily about, the people around you can help, having community can help, but at the end of the day, it's about what you do for yourself and that anybody can do that. It's not because you were bitten by a radioactive spider. It's not because you have a lot of money. It's just because there is that, self-belief and a self-compassion and rallying around you is a human being who is worthy and capable. So I think both of these had really wonderful messages. That's why they're the top two. I think it's just flavor, what it is that like led you to connect the most and align the most with whatever message. But I think they're really, really wonderful movies, both of them.
Very well said.
Very well said. Indeed.
We got a lot of speeches on this one for the top two movies. I like it. No, I honestly, the iconic scene in Erica's background when Miles dives off of the skyscraper, the song that's playing in the background.
What's Up Danger?
What's Up Danger? The lyrics to that song and everything that led up to that moment where Spider-Man is basically Peter Parker's telling him, you just gotta take a leap of faith, man. You just gotta, when you'll know when your time comes once you take that leap. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I loved everything about this film. It deserves the number one place.
I will say, if any film was not to be, if Spider-Man 2 was not to be number one, only Into the Spider-Verse should have that mantle. I will say that. Doc Ock over Kingpin, though.
I was going to say, that's actually something that Into the Spider-Verse did a great job of, is like having your main villain and then some other villains that were side villains that still did a good job. Like it was cool to see other villains. Something that we struggled with in all of our Spider-Man movies is when you put too many villains into the equation, it kind of gets drowned out. But with this one, you have the Kingpin, you have that giant goblin, which I think is supposed to be Hobgoblin.
No, that's Green Goblin.
It's Green Goblin.
That's Green Goblin.
That's ultimate version
It's like
of
the
Green
ultimate.
Goblin.
Yeah, ultimate version.
You have Prowler, and I think there's one more, but I can't
Well,
remember.
Tombstone
There's
and Scorpion
Scorpion.
showed up too.
Doc Ock,
So-
female Doc Ock.
female Doc Ock. So there's so many villains, and it did a great job with all of that. And then, even though I know GrandMasterHoop wants just a solo Miles movie, I really enjoyed seeing Spider-Gwen, seeing Fat Spider-Man, seeing normal Spider-Man and his demise. Like, it was cool to see all those different aspects. I think that's what really captivated me, is to see like all of the different characters and how they kind of work together in a way.
You have Spider-Man 2 as number 1.
I did have Spider-Man 2 as number 1, but I'm just trying to plead the case onto why I also think that Into the Spider-Verse was great.
Why did you call this man out?
Huh? He said it. He already said it. Into
like
the
these two
Spider-Verse is a great film for what everybody has said. No doubt about it.
Spider-Man 2 also, didn't it win an Academy Award for Best Soundtrack or Score?
No. It won, I think, Best Visual Effects.
Best Visual Effects.
Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated Picture.
Yes, it did.
In the same year as what Pixar movie was out that year? 2019?
No, 2019 was the year. So whatever, Incredibles 2 was not going to win.
Oh, yeah. That was an easy win then.
There was some other good animated stuff that came out, but I can't remember. Incredibles 2 was not the top contender. It was Spider-Verse and one other film, but I can't remember what it was.
I will say the special effects still hold up too. Having watched it yesterday.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and Spider-Man 2 and the puppetry and all
the puppetry,
that, you know?
the practicality, the Doc Ock in the hospital scene.
Oh man, that screams
Anybody
Sam
take
Raimi.
shot class? Yeah, good stuff.
I
mean, nostalgia wise, I'm always gonna say Spider-Man 2, but Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse does a great job. As I know, I said there's all these side characters. Well, there's a balance. They balanced everything out. Everything works. They play their part. They understand the assignment. We understand, like, they play with that stuff where they're like, all right, here's for the last time we're gonna do this, and they all do their intros real quick.
Oh my god, those
that
they could have easily messed that up. They could that could have been a tiring trope that you kept seeing, but they did a fresh take on it every time for each of the spider.
Right, and that's the balance part that I'm like, it works. These characters are not supposed to be more than just like community, like DoctahReeka said. You don't necessarily. They've already had their Spider-Man growth, so they are all serving as a mentor figure. And Peter Parker and Spider-Man 2's mentor figure, loses sight of everything he said. Intelligence is a privilege. Used to be for the good of mankind. What do you do when your mentor just goes down a dark path? Well, you bring him back. Bring him back. You say, look what you've done. You say, we got to stop it. And then he said, it was my dream. I won't. He's like, these things are controlling you. These outside factors in your life are bearing down on you, making you make this rash, indecisive decision to do something wrong. But we have to hold on. Sometimes we have to let go of our dreams. We have to hold fast. And that's what Aunt May said. That's when she comes in. That's another mentor figure in Peter's life that he often.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was a beautiful scene.
Appreciate it. It was a beautiful scene.
The reason why Spider-Man 2 arguably could be tied for number 1. You know what? I'm just gonna do this.
Whoa! You breaking the rules, buddy.
Let's not tamper with the poll.
Fine, sorry. That's just editor's choice. Sorry.
Quit being a webhead.
That's understandable. I feel like depending on your preference, you can interchange Spider-Man 2 as number 1 with Into the Spider-Verse. I think Grandmaster said it best. If there was one film to be better than Spider-Man 2, it would be Into the Spider-Verse. If you were to say it was that movie.
Right.
If not, then Spider-Man 2 would still be king.
Then we're fighting. You said anything else, we're fighting.
Spider-Man 3 is the best Spider-Man film.
We're fighting.
I think we could all agree on that. But all right. I think we've said all we wanted to say for the Spider-Man film ranking list. Where No Way Home might fit on here, we'll have to wait and see. Again, a lot of the problems we pointed out in these films when you look back at the trailers, there might be a little bit of that kind of appearing in No Way Home. There's a lot of villains, a lot of nostalgia baiting.
A lot of MCU.
A lot of MCU. Like, how much of it are we just good? That's the one thing we have to be careful of when we go see No Way Home. We might really enjoy the film, but how much of it will just be on satiating our nostalgia for some of these characters. Oh, wow, Octavius. I remember him from Spider-Man 2. Oh, wow, Green Goblin. Oh, this is great. Willem Dafoe. Oh. So that's one thing we'll have to wait and see on where No Way Home will fit on here. It may be number 1. It may be number 2. It may be number 10. It's not going to be number 10. It's not going to be any worse than Venom or Let There Be Carnage. It can't be. But there you have it, folks. The Yonkō Table's averaged ranking list of the Spider-Man films, starting from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 all the way to the most recent film, if you can consider it one, Venom, Let There Be Carnage in the Spider-Man franchise. But with that, we're going to wrap things up. Let us know what you think about your own Spider-Man ranking list. Where would you place these films? Do you agree that Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man film? It is. Don't even bother. But let us know what you think regardless, if it's Spider-Man 2 or the greatest of Spider-Man 3. But let us know your thoughts. Share it around. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. If there's social media, we're on there. Give us a listen, share it around, and let us know your thoughts. But with that, we're signing off. I'm your Yonkō host, DrJaceAttorney, fellow Yonkō GrandMasterHoop, Supernovas, Rose the Crafter, TevintheFifth, Spider Darce, DoctahReeka, DrMondo, Toasty, and he had to leave a little bit early, but Nino as well. He is signing off along with us. Take care, everyone.